Welcome to Know, I'm Ben.
And I'm Adam.
Heads up gamers, Activision has filed another patent focusing on what everybody loves, microtransactions, specifically how to get more of them out of you.
However, this one isn't quite as alarming as their last microtransaction patent. While that one had to do with matchmaking manipulation, this one's all about eSports and video game payback systems. Playback systems even.
Exciting. It's another demonstration that microtransactions are quickly becoming one of the cornerstones for modern AAA gaming efforts. Because, like we said last time, these guys are literally inventing new ways to charge you for stuff after you buy your game.
This newest patent recently discovered by the folks at .eSports and was filed by Activision back in October of 2015. It hasn't been awarded to the company just yet. These things take time after all, but could offer an interesting glimpse into some of the company's plans surrounding things like esports.
The patent itself is titled Systems and Method of Identifying Portions of Video Game Streams for Driving Microtransactions.
A mouthful.
Yeah, and the basic summary of the patent describes this invented technology as a method that generates a game log that specifies game events during gameplay to enable efficient distribution of video game playback, facilitates the annotation of gameplay through content from users and others, and generates a video game stream that includes the game log and content. That's fun to go through.
It goes on to say, for example, esports casters may use the system to broadcast video game playback with their commentator and or graphical overlays. Video game players may use the system to share video game playback efficiently with other users. The system may also facilitate the sharing of loadout conditions and microtransactions relevant to game playback.
So, how is it intended to work exactly, and how is it trying to monetize you? Well, with streaming getting so popular, one issue for viewers and the developers that sponsor these games is the issue of data and bandwidth. Hosting these enormous media files becomes something of a setback, so this new system tries to make file sizes more manageable.
It achieves that smaller file size by creating game logs. Game logs are, of course, nothing new. We've seen them before with games like Halo 3's Theater Mode. The game outputs a small file and takes the data of the game and decodes it via the game engine.
So here, Activision is wanting to take that idea and allow people to use those game log replays to interact with eSport broadcasts and competitive matches. But there are a couple of key differences.
The first is metadata. These video game streams, which patent refers to as VGS, would store information about things going on in the game, like what the player is wearing, what items they have, what power-ups they're using, etc. Those could be tagged and annotated as metadata to make them more indexable or searchable by other players.
The video game streams would also be able to save some of that metadata information as a loadout object, and that's where you could start to see the microtransaction applications. The patent refers to loadout objects being anything from a virtual trading card to Skylanders objects, anything that another user might want to acquire, share, trade, or buy.
And that's how we get to the good stuff. The patent also states, in some instances, a metadata track may include microtransaction information that identifies an item available for purchase. In some instances, the item may include a virtual item depicted in a corresponding video game playback, or a real-world item advertised as an overlay over the corresponding video game playback. In some instances, the metadata track may include hotspot information that indicates selectable coordinates on the video game playback corresponding to the item available for sale.
So basically, anything you see on screen that we can sell you, let's target that. The patent also seems to indicate that based on your profile, interests, or game history, it could direct your view of the action to things it knows you'd be more interested in, or pre-populate them for you to see in matches. And it even discusses a subscription model for these streams where you have different levels of access to playback features or specific matches.
Obviously, there's nothing like this going on in any current Activision game, but it definitely sounds like something the company would be very interested in actually pursuing, especially as they're gearing up for things like the Overwatch League.
Of course, none of that sounds nearly so insidious as the previous microtransaction patent explored by Activision. That one had to do with literally manipulating matchmaking instances to partner you up with people who use items you might be interested in purchasing. The idea being that if you get rocked by XX Sniper 17XX and he's got some high-level items, you might say, damn, I got to buy that stuff for myself. And then you'd get matched up with itemless noobs, so you'd feel great about your purchase.
The whole thing was pretty shady, but fortunately Activision says they haven't implemented this technology into any of their games. At the time, Activision said this was an exploratory patent filed in 2015 by an R&D team working independently from our game studios. It has not been implemented in-game.
So it's possible this new patent is from the same round of research and development. But at this point, none of this is probably much of a surprise to gamers. Microtransactions are becoming a foundational part of the gaming experience. And with a whole smattering of games, including invasive microtransaction models this fall, there's been a lot of discussion lately around AAA gaming budgets, and how $60 might not be enough to cover the cost of most modern titles.
It seems that right now companies are still trying to find the line between making these things visible without crossing the line into invasive. And to do that, they use all sorts of tactics like giving you free loot boxes once a day. Even the new Call of Duty makes microtransactions and loot loot boxes a mini event as part of its social space. The player sends up a smoke signal, the box drops, and everyone gets to see you open it up for rewards.
All of these strategies are meant to constantly remind you that these microtransactions exist in the hope that you decide you'd like some of that sweet, sweet loot as well. And who knows, maybe you throw down some extra money for it.
At the end of the day, Activision is a business, and its primary goal is to make money. So technically, there's nothing wrong at all with them inventing new ways to keep making more of it. And if it keeps leading to even bigger AAA experiences, there's no doubt plenty of gamers will be fine with it. We've already learned to live with microtransaction creep as it is.
It just becomes a question of how much is too much and where gamers will draw the line. On the surface, the idea of making video game streams more interactive with smaller file sizes is definitely appealing technology for gamers, especially eSports fans. It just remains to be seen if players will tolerate that same technology as a microtransaction vehicle.
But hey, at least it's way better than that last patent. What do you guys think of Activision filing for more microtransaction patents? Let us know in the comments.
For future updates on the video game industry, remember to like this video, and if you're new around here, subscribe to The Know. Welcome to The Know, I'm Ben.
And I'm Adam.
Heads up gamers, Activision has filed another patent focusing on microtransactions, specifically how to get more out of them than,
More out of them than you, personally, I would say.
How to get more of them out of you, got it.
Efficiently with other users. The system may also facilitate